Folks, Black Star Network is here.
No punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today's Wednesday, March 4, 2026, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Big election last night in 3 states, especially Texas and North Carolina. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett loses to State Representative James Talarico in Texas. We'll give you the breakdown on how that happened. Also, we'll break down what's happening in the congressional race in Houston between longtime Congressman Al Green as well as new Congressman Menifee. And so also we'll look at that. We'll look at some other statewide races. Also a DA race there, a big change there, a big upset there. Plus we'll talk about North Carolina where 3 incumbents, 2 African Americans who often voted against Democratic governor, they lost last night as well. Plus we'll tell you about the CBC member in North Carolina who barely won in that case as well. So lots to break down with Tuesday night's election. A couple of weeks from now, primary in Illinois. You've got 2 African-American women who are running for the United States Senate. One of them, Congresswoman Robin Kelly, will be joining us as well. Operation Epic Fury entered its 4th day. Tensions continue to rise in the war between Israel, the United States, and Iran. We'll talk with retired Army Lieutenant General Russel Honore about what the heck is going on there. So that'll be an issue, obviously. Georgia Republican State Senator Greg Dolezal under fire for posting a racist ad he dropped for his campaign. Yeah, a little something to talk about there as well. So a lot of stuff for us to break down on the show. It's going to be a jam-packed show. It's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got whatever the piss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the fine. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. Yeah, it's Uncle Roro, y'all. Yeah, yeah, it's Roland Martin. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best. You know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, right now there are 2 black women in the United States Senate. Last night in Texas, folks were hoping there would be a 3rd going to November with Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. She lost to Texas State Representative James Talarico. I'm going to break that whole race down and cover what took place in Texas as well as North Carolina. In 2 weeks, voters in Illinois will go to the polls to vote in the Democratic primary who's going to replace incumbent Senator Dick Durbin, who announced his retirement. One of the folks who wants that job is current Congresswoman Robin Kelly. She joins us right now. Congresswoman, glad to have you on the show.
Good to be back.
Running statewide is obviously a beast. Illinois is a little bit different from any other state. There have been more black U.S. senators from Illinois than any other state. You had 2 elected. You've had a 3rd with Roland that was appointed. In terms of setting you apart from the other candidates, why should Illinois voters, Democratic voters, pick you as their nominee?
Well, if people check the record, there's no question I'm the most qualified person running. I've worked on every level of government. I have worked the whole state as a party chair, as a chief of staff to the treasurer, who's now the Secretary of State, and I've done the work. I have a proven track record of accomplishments that they don't have.
Chicago obviously gets all the attention in Illinois, but there are other states, other cities in the state as well. And so what is your priority to deal with, obviously, the 2 things that are dominant everywhere? That is affordability, that's gas prices, that's houses, and also economic development.
Well, my district is urban, suburban, and rural. I started in the city of Chicago, go south. I have actually 4,500 farms in my district, so I've been dealing with the microcosm of Illinois all the time I've been in Congress, and I'm running on a platform of people over profits where finally millionaires, billionaires, and corporations pay their fair share. And once they do that, we roll back, his big ugly bill with the $1 trillion of tax cuts. We can have affordable housing. We can have raise the minimum wage. We can have health care for everyone in the richest country in the history of the world, and we still don't have health care for everybody.
Talk about those 4,500 farms. Donald Trump's economic policies, his tariffs have been destroying farms left and right. What are they telling you?
That's what they're telling me. And they started by saying, we know a lot of us voted for him, but first it started with USAID.
See, you being real nice, because I'd be like, what the? I'm like, hashtag, we tried to tell you.
Well, no, I'd say that. No, you know, it started with USAID, the dismantling. We buy the food from the farmers and we're not feeding the rest of the world or medicine. And then the tariffs killed them. We're #1 in soybeans in Illinois. China, our #1 customer. Not anymore. They've invested in Brazil, and we'll probably never get that share back. And then what he just did was SNAP. If less people have vouchers or money to buy food, less people, you know, spend money in the grocery store. They hire less people. They buy less food from the farmers. So what I tell them, we're all in this together. You might have thought he was talking about the other guy.
Right.
But if you're not, you know, well off or well connected or well protected, he's talking about you too.
Well, I'm going to say it. That's what those MAGA idiots didn't understand. So they thought, oh, cutting USAID, you're hurting all the people across across the world. And then they thought, oh, SNAP benefits, we tired of all you broke. They were really thinking about black people.
No, I know.
All y'all broke people who are on welfare without understanding where are you getting the food from. And as soon as he comes in, Doge cuts, these farmers were like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah. So when y'all were voting, and you thought, well, that's not what I voted for. That is what you voted for.
Exactly.
Because they said what they were going to do.
That's what they thought. That it's going to be them, not us. But he cut homeless, veterans. He changed the age of the people eligible. So that's a lot of food that's not going to be purchased.
Oh, but also all the changes in the Department of Veteran Affairs. And so there's a lot of vets all of a sudden who are not getting the services they were getting before. And again, it's like we tried to tell you what was going to happen. Y'all didn't believe us.
I know, but I could say so much. I mean, so much bull that he spoke and people bought it. And even with the whole immigration thing, oh, he was just going to get rid of, you know, the terrible people. Yeah, we see how that's working.
No, absolutely. How do y'all, so listen, there's a lot of folks who are running. And for folks who don't know, so in Illinois, is it 50+1?
No.
So whoever,
majority rules.
So whoever wins, that's who wins. Got it. So unlike Texas, where you got to be 50+1.
Only, as far as I know, in Illinois, just the Chicago mayor's race, you have to have 50+1.
Gotcha.
But everything else is...
Well, first of all, they changed that also because that was because of Harold Washington. They were mad that the black guy won.
But they're real mad
when Jane Byrne and Daley were running, so they were kind of like, yeah, we got to go ahead and change those rules. So that's what that was all about. So with that, how do you break through? And also, having the lieutenant governor in the race, African-American woman, there's some concerns there. That, my goodness, the black vote is huge in Illinois, especially in Chicago, Cook County. So what happens if you split? So again, your strategy, trying to break through, 2 weeks left.
You know, I'm getting in front of as many people as I possibly can. My surrogates are getting in front of people on every TV program I could be on, every radio, you know, I have radio and, you know, TV ads. And also just, you know, my team is working hard. And like this will be, we're not in session next week, luckily, you know, so I'll be home. But just really getting my message out, doing what I've been doing. You know, I don't have the money they have. I'm definitely running against money on one side and money and power, you know, on the other side. But I know I have done the work and just getting that out and just the support that I've had from, you know, all over, not only the district, but all over the state because of things I've done. I'm not new to the... to people.
You talked about having a district that is rural, urban, and suburban. And when we talk about rural parts of the state, and it always happens, people think, well, you know what, if I just crush it in Chicago and Cook County, but it's sort of like the same thing. I'm going to break it down a little bit later, how Talarico, he won all of those rural counties, and all of those votes added up. And so... how are you communicating there? Because listen, Illinois not as big as Texas, but still, that's a lot of ground you got to cover. And part of the issue you also have to deal with is, you have the Chicago market, but when you talk about other parts of the state, you're really talking about the Missouri TV market that bleeds into the state.
I have been up and down this state, and again, the way my district is, I do it as part of my daily job, and also a lot of people don't know my entrance in Illinois was Central Illinois. I lived there on and off, mostly on for 20 years. My kids were born down there, still associate with my university, so that's all helped. But I've been all over, East St. Louis, Southern Illinois, you know, up and down up and down the state, and every vote counts. You know, when you don't have the money, every single vote counts. I'm leaving no stone unturned.
Well, I always say that, I mean, look, you give a lot of money, but actually votes always beats money. I mean, so there's a lot of people who raised a lot of, there's a lot of folks who raised money over the years who lost because it's not about that. I got three panelists here. I want them to ask a question of you. Rebecca Carruthers, she's president and CEO of the Fair Election Center out of Washington, D.C. Dr. Zachary Kirk, he is an educator and content creator out of Atlanta. Winkuni Siant, co-founder of Politicking Washington, D.C. Rebecca Carruthers, you get the first question.
The show tonight, Congresswoman. You mentioned that with not having money, that every vote counts. And I would definitely say as a voting rights leader that all votes count regardless of money. We're hearing a lot of worry across the country as folks go into this midterm election cycle, especially very worried about the SAVE Act, about the MAGA voting bill. What should voters do to prepare for the fall, regardless if the House and Senate passes new voter suppression bills?
Well, I tell everybody, you can't get weary, you can't get lost in the chaos, you can't stay on the sidelines. You know, you have to make your voice heard, you have to vote. Now, as far as we know, it's not going to pass in the Senate unless they make some changes. It did, pass in the House, but they don't have enough votes thus far in the Senate. And it ostracizes about 70 million women, no matter who you are, because if your name now doesn't match your name when you were born, then you can't even register to vote. And then even if you get past that, you have to have more proof. And you cannot use your driver's license, or like in Illinois, we have the real ID. You cannot use that either. So there's a lot of people that are not for it, because many people, no matter what color you are, where you live, they will be a no count.
But not only that, but one second, Rebecca, but not only that, in that bill is not just about ID as well. It also deals with turning over your voter data.
Right. Yeah.
To the federal government.
Right. Well, they're trying to do that in many ways. That bill, even I just wrote a letter to all the tech companies, because they're trying to work through that, and we're letting them know, oh, you're just going to give out my information, I'm your customer, without letting me know. So we're waiting to see what their response is. Well, the
reason I brought that up is because, again, they want to use the ID, say, 80% of Americans support voter ID. That's fine. That's very broad in general, but people don't understand the details under that, and also the other parts of the bill that a person say, I'm not supporting that.
Right.
So, Rebecca, you had a second part?
Yes, it requires a documentary proof of citizenship clause, which is either your birth certificate. We know over 20 million Americans don't have readily access to their birth certificate, or it requires using a passport, and over 150 Americans don't have a passport. But I wanted to follow up with my question procedurally. Could the Senate try to attach it to a funding bill, like in a CR, or try to insert it during a reconciliation process?
I don't put anything by any of them on the other side of the aisle. They could do that. I still don't know if they would have the votes, because we just know how important it is for that bill not to pass. So they might try different gimmicks. But, we'll see. We'll see. But right now, they don't have the votes.
Zachary.
Representative Kelly, it's so great to see you again.
Good to see you.
I want to take a moment. Like, I'm a fan of your work. I love what you've done. People Over Profits, the impeachment efforts against Kristi Noem with Operation Midway Blitz. When you become a member of the Senate, representing the state of Illinois, what will you take to the Senate to make both of those two things a priority in our Senate?
Well, definitely going to keep talking about it. And People Over Profits, that's just something we have to do. And, we know we have to change what millionaires, billionaires, and corporations are getting away with. There's corporations that are paying no taxes, and then there's the loopholes. So we'll definitely pay attention every day to affordability and accountability. And with Kristi Noem, we're looking right now, either fire her, she quits, or we're going to start the investigation. We're still going back and forth about the DHS bill and what they'll agree to. And part of what we're asking is that she, loses her job one way or another. And we're prepared to move if it's not she quits or he fires her.
Coney?
Congresswoman Kelly, you've been a national voice on gun violence prevention. What federal policies do you believe are most achievable for the next Congress?
Well, we still don't even have background checks. And Rep. Clyburn still is pushing for closing the Charleston loopholes, as we call it. You have to have a background check in a brick and mortar store, but after 3 days, if it doesn't come back definitively, no, they can sell you the gun, and we see what happened. They sold the guy the gun. When it was too late, they said, don't sell him the gun, but 9 people were dead. So doing that. Also, safe storage. 8 kids a day die because a parent or a guardian or someone in a household has not locked up their gun, and 8 kids a day die from that. And that is something very, very preventable. And then funding, he took a lot of funding back. He clawed it back for gun violence prevention programs and programs that are proven effective. If you're closest to the problem, you're closest to the solution. So the people on the streets doing something about gun violence.
Thank you.
Last question for you. There's somebody who's watching, somebody who's listening. They say, you know what? This voting stuff don't matter. It means nothing to me. It has no bearing on my life. What do you say to them?
Are you kidding? I mean, do you see what's happening now? People have lost their jobs. They're paying out of the wazoo just to go food shopping, the health care. If this big, ugly bill goes into full effect after November 2026, millions upon millions upon millions of people will lose their health care. Hospitals will close, nursing homes will close, federally qualified health care centers will close. And it doesn't matter if you're on Medicaid or not. If your hospital closes, your hospital closes. 9 are scheduled, will close, predicted to close in Illinois, 33 in the state of Louisiana, where Steve Scalise and Speaker Johnson live. So your life, as you know it now, will not get better. It will get worse, and people will die.
This actually was another topic, which will be the last question. Just your thoughts on what the heck is happening, the United States' involvement with Israel in attacking Iran, this war that we're in the middle of.
Oh, that the president of peace said we wouldn't be involved in
right.
any wars. Horrific. We didn't know anything about it. And we'll be voting this week on the War Powers Act. And why did we get in? Did we tell Israel, or did Israel tell us? They seem like they can't, make up their mind about it. So, my heart goes out to the 6 service people that have died. Their families are worried. Our colleagues that have bases in their district are saying that people are calling them and saying, what the hell? What is going on? Because no one seems to know. And so it's terrible. Once again, he has us, he's trying to take over the world, Iran, Greenland, Venezuela,
and
Mexico,
also throwing
Cuba.
out that might take over Cuba.
Yeah, Cuba. Yeah, he said that. I know.
And then, of course, the strikes in Ecuador.
Right. It never ends with the king. It never ends. Or the dictator.
All right, then. Congresswoman Robin Kelly, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right. Hold tight 1 second, folks. Got to go to break. We come back. We're talking to retired General Russel Honore about this war with Iran, where the United States is linked with Israel. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Cool. I'm not on.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black each week, I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Bria Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
My name is Bill Duke, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, this war that's taking place with Iran, it continues. We're on day 4, and it's intensifying. And what's crazy is this administration keeps giving us all of these different reasons as to what the hell is going on. As Congresswoman Robin Kelly said, a resolution that calls for congressional approval, military action against Iran, it, of course, was dealt with in the United States Senate. The Democratic-led Iran War Powers Resolution was introduced by Senators Tim Kaine and Adam Schiff. It would direct the removal of United States armed forces from hostilities within or against Iran that Congress has not authorized. Earlier today, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth confirmed that a U.S. Navy submarine sank an Iranian warship in international waters.
In fact, last night, we sunk their prize ship, the Soleimani. Looks like POTUS got him twice. Their Navy, not a factor. Pick your adjective, it is no more. In fact, yesterday, in the Indian Ocean, and we'll play it on the screen there, an American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II. Like in that war, back when we were still the War Department, we are fighting to win.
This idiot really thinks this is a game. Folks, this took place at Capitol Hill today, where former Marine Sergeant Brian McGinnis stood up during a hearing to say what millions of Americans are thinking before he was dragged out and his arm was broken.
No one wants to fight for Israel!
Why are you here? Why are you getting arrested?
Free Palestine, from the halls of Mount Azupla to the shores of Tripoli. Palestine will be free.
Oh my God, they broke his arm. Oh man.
We just witnessed a Marine veteran interrupting the hearing, and they broke his arm.
Why did he interrupt the hearing?
Because there is a war in Iran, and our military brothers and sisters are going to die for Israel, and we are here to say no. We do not support Israel. We do not want to die for Israel. Stop the war in Iran right now.
And what did they do to him?
They pulled him out, got his arm trapped in a door, broke his arm, tackled him to the ground. It was a very, very intense situation.
Please stand up as a Marine. stand up for America.
America does not want to fight this war in Iran, and the soldiers don't, right, Brian?
No, they don't. American citizens don't want to send their sons and daughters to fight in Iran. We're fighting for Israel. We're not fighting for the U.S. Out. No one wants to fight for Israel.
His hand, his hand. Oh, his hand.
Sir.
Let go of your hand. Let go of the door.
Let go of the door. The senator broke his hand. A sitting U.S. senator just broke the hand of a Marine. Sir. Okay. We're stuck in the door. Okay, sir. A U.S. senator just broke the hand of a Marine. Hand's stuck. A U.S. senator just broke the hand of a Marine. You're a coward. Punk. Yeah, go fuck yourself. What'd you say? Senator? Go fuck yourself. You were a shit seal. That's why you got kicked out, fat ass.
Everybody sit down, please. Sit down, please. Everybody sit down, please. Everybody sit down, please.
I'm getting out of here.
That's fine. Everybody sit down, please. Is your hand okay? Okay.
No, it's not.
This is disgusting. Disgusting.
Folks, that war powers resolution in the United States Senate did not pass. Joining us right now, retired Lieutenant General Russel Honore, joining us from his home in Louisiana. General, first and foremost, just your assessment thus far of what has taken place over the last 4 days.
Well, what started out as the U.S.-Israeli attack on Iran, and the reason for it has bounced back from regime change to nuclear capabilities to freedom for the Iranian people to destroy the Iranian army for past attacks throughout recent history, throughout the Iran-Iraq war, the Iraq-Iran war. The Iranians pushed the IEDs in that killed a lot of Americans, and there was Marine bombings. I mean, it goes on and on, this long legacy of our hostile relationship with Iran. And then in recent months, Prime Minister Netanyahu has been pushing for this for the last decade. Going back to the Obama administration.
Actually, last 30 years. CNN had a video of him going back to 1996.
Yeah, thanks for the date correction. So this has been an ongoing attempt and consideration of many presidents. But if it had been easy, it had been done already. That's a country of 90 million people that is hard to get to. And the way we've done it is through air power and naval forces, which have the capability to maneuver in there. But at the beginning of this war, our regional partners stood back, from the Saudis to the Emirates to Dubai, Turkey. All of our allies in the region said, we're not going to participate in this one. But once the war started, and the devastating attacks from the Israeli and United States Central Command, unlike the 12-day war response, the Iranian, to use a word from the great Muhammad Ali, pull a rope-a-dope. As opposed to showing all their missiles toward Israel, they made this a regional war, as you described earlier, bringing in other nations by attacking U.S. forces and capabilities inside regional partners, from Saudi Arabia oil production to the LNG production in the Emirates. They have made this now regional to include a potential attack on Turkey, which the successful turned back with air power and missiles to destroy that missile from Iran going toward Turkey, to make this then a NATO operation. So that rope-a-dope, meaning back up, move around, and attack in a different direction, unexpected direction, I think it somewhat surprised our War Department. And we want to see our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marine get the job done as assigned by the president. But I think the plan that they went into has taken a setback as a result of the Iranians attacking neighboring countries, making this a regional thing. So they plan, again, and quoting another boxer, your plan work until you get hit in the face. And they're having to adjust now. Now, they have degraded the heck out of the Iranian forces and taken out the cleric leadership. But this isn't over yet. And my recommendation to the administration has been, it's time to declare victory and get intermediaries to start talking now about a ceasefire, because further destruction of Iran is not going to help the people of Iran.
Well, absolutely. And the thing here, right, all the different reasons, all the back and forth, it's crazy. They can't settle on one, which tells you they don't even have a real reason to do so. And the other thing is this here, and this is very difficult, folks have to understand. And that is when you're talking about, when you begin to use the United States military, the U.S. military serves, frankly, a single force, a single reason. When you unleash it, it's about killing. It is a killing machine. It is not about peaches and cream and dropping rose petals. That ain't what it is. And the problem here is, and this is why I tell people, this is not excusing or anything. We understand Iran when it comes to the issue of terrorism. We absolutely understand that. But we also have to recognize is that there are a number of countries that deal with terrorism. And you have to make judgments, because if you say, well, I'm going to take you out for this reason, well, when you pull that thread begins to unravel, and the implications now hit 3, 4, 5, 8, 10 countries. And so we now see the Strait of Hormuz. We now see with them hitting the Dubai airport and all the traffic that comes through there and the grounding of flights, everything coming to a standstill, hitting luxury hotels. And I saw Trump complaining by saying, well, we're hitting military targets and they're hitting luxury hotels. Well, they're hitting those hotels for a reason, because what they're doing is they're trying to wipe out the tourism industry for many of those countries that are going to lead to massive, massive losses. And so when you attack a country and then to say, well, so what is it? Regime change? Well, who's there? Well, it might be like Venezuela. Well, okay, but Iran ain't Venezuela. Iran is also a bigger country than Iraq was. And so when you make frankly, a one-dimensional decision and you don't consider all the facets, then we're getting ourselves into a bigger mess than just striking the Ayatollah.
Absolutely. That's why I thought the Senate could have done a better, spent time today. They needed to get people on the record for voting for or against the war resolution, but they should spend more time on starting the language of seeking a ceasefire. Just more death and destruction. We've proven before, just look at Gaza. We bombed Gaza till in the rubble. I'm about to do the same thing in Lebanon with the Israelis going after the Hezbollah. It's time to stop the bombing and the killing, because it's not ensuring peace. We're creating 2 more generations of people that's going to be mindful of the fact that we destroyed their country and destroyed thousands of people are dead. Killing, we can't kill our way out of this war. We need a political solution that allows an opportunity for the people of Iran to rise up at the proper time that they choose. But with 90 million people under the guns of Israeli and American guns, this is not sustainable war. And we're doing it with a naval fleet with very little capacity on ground, because the Europeans didn't play with us this time. They decided to stay out of this war. And they are very critical to our logistic capacity and our overflight rights that we need to be able to get into the theater. So it's time to end this war within the next 72 hours. And I hope there's some reasoning come from somebody like Macron or the Pope or the international community that start calling into the White House to end this war and declare victory and get the hell out of there. Because we don't have the capacity now to occupy Iran.
Last point here, we discussed this on yesterday. Iran has 50, 60, some reports say 80,000 drones. In many ways, they could treat America like the Vietnamese did, and that is use unpredictable tactics. And when Donald Trump says, well, you know, we can go 4 or 5 weeks, when you start talking about the U.S. military, the price begins to add up. When you have folks in the Pentagon talking about, well, do we have the munitions to support this as well? All of that is real. And so that's the thing that people are not understanding. We go back to Donald Rumsfeld. We love this whole, oh, we can go in quick and easy, get it done, few days, and then we're out. No, that never, you can't show me where that actually happened, where we actually led a war, and yeah, it lasted 4 or 5 days, a week or 2 weeks, and then we were able to get out. No, that doesn't exist.
Yeah, and you know, we're talking about now escorting ships through the Strait of Hormuz. That is a high-risk operation. And the last time we did this, the Iranians didn't have all those drones and ballistic missiles. This is going to be a different operation than the last time we did it. While the Navy has a lot of self-defense capacity on the ships, you do anything enough, you're going to have a failure. And this would be cross the red line to God knows what this administration will do if we lose a carrier or a couple frigates in the Straits of Hormuz escorting oil. Oil for the rest of the world, not necessarily oil for America, but oil for the rest of the world as we are escorting oil for China, natural gas for Japan, and oil for India, because 20% or 25% of the world's oil go through that strait, and it's only 20 miles wide. Those Shaheed drones could be very effective against our ships. So that's a high-risk operation, and I hope the chairman and Joint Chiefs is, again, as opposed to making jokes about lasers and the cruel language used by the secretary, get calmed down, and the Pentagon professional staff can talk to them about the risk of trying to escort ships through the strait with the current technology that Iran has.
Well, it's called having some grown-ups in charge, and unfortunately, we know what we're dealing with when it comes to Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon, which is the Department of Defense, not the War Department.
Absolutely.
All right. General Honore, we appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
God bless our troops. God bless America. And let's do the right thing. We need a ceasefire. And I hope our legislators pick up on that and they start talking about ceasefire.
Indeed, indeed. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Folks, going to go to a break. We come back. Boy, Tennessee, they want a Charlie Kirk Day? Really? Black lawmakers like, yeah, we're going to let y'all know how we feel about that. We're going to play that for you next. Also, top of the hour, I'm going to break down yesterday's election results in Texas and North Carolina. Tell you what went on, so we look forward to that. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support the work that we do. John, Bring the Funk Fan Club. Goals to get 20,000 people contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. Support this show and the 5 other shows of the network. You want to give via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. That's also for credit cards. Check some money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo RM Unfiltered. Zelle Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
A decade of love, joy, and power. Black Voters Matter is 10 years old, and we are just getting started. This is love with a purpose. This is Black joy in motion. This is unstoppable power. Across campuses, neighborhoods, and back roads. Let's go! We show up not just to vote, but to be seen, to be heard, to belong. We ride together, we organize together. We remind each other that our voices matter, because they always have. Black Voters Matter is about more than ballots. It's about housing and healthcare, clean water and living wages, education, reproductive freedom, and dignity. It's about turning pain into action, turning belief into movement, turning community into power. We don't wait to be invited. We bring the energy. We bring the love. We bring the people. Because when Black communities come together, we don't just survive, we thrive. This is how change happens. This is how history moves. We organize, we build, we win.
I'm Ryan Wilson, CEO and co-founder of The Gathering Spot, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Another like rabid Republican idiots in Tennessee Monday during a hearing on the House Naming and Designating Committee. This actually happened. They were talking about an honor for Charlie Kirk, literally a proposal to designate a day in honor of Charlie Kirk. You know, the racist leader of Turning Point USA who was shot and killed in Utah. Well, Republican Gino Bulso, who was supporting the bill, engaged in a heated debate with Democrats Vincent Dixie and Justin Jones. They argue that passing this bill would be an absolute embarrassment to Tennessee. Watch this.
This is a bill that would designate September 10 on our state calendar as Charlie Kirk Day. As all of you know, Charlie Kirk was tragically assassinated on September 10 of last year, 2025, doing what he became so famous for doing, which was engaging young people on college campuses in civil discourse about issues of politics and current affairs. He's someone who I think is a luminary, not just for young folks, but for all of us in public life. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I stand ready for questions.
Members, are there any further questions for the sponsor? Mr. Dixie.
Thank you. I feel that this is an opportunity for us to get this right and maybe have a conversation. This person was not a luminary. He was very divisive. And he was, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he said that if he saw a black pilot on a plane, he would wonder if they were qualified. And I don't understand why we would be honoring a person that thought a segment of people were beneath him or not as equal. And, you know, we in this body, we get so upset when we call people white nationalists or racist, but we honor racist people and we do racist things. So I would suggest that we take this bill off notice, and I would like to motion that we send this bill to the table.
Second. So we have a motion and a second, but we also have an objection. So we will vote on the motion. A vote of aye will be to send the bill to the table. A vote of nay will be to continue with the bill here today. Clerk, would you bring up the vote? Clerk, would you read the vote?
Mr. Chair, you have 3 ayes and 6 nays.
Motion fails. Representative Dixie, do you have something else?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your leniency on this as well. Yes. This is something that I can't understand why we're even contemplating this. This guy did nothing special. He was very divisive. He was a racist. And we're going to sit here and we're going to take our time to honor a racist in the state of Tennessee. We just had someone die that was a very powerful person in the state of Tennessee, not in the state of Tennessee, but in this country. Reverend Jesse Jackson I haven't seen anybody from the other side express any remorse or condolences to the family, but we're getting here to recognize a known racist. And you should be ashamed for bringing this bill. And I would hope that you would stop and you would take this off notice immediately. This is embarrassing. And I'm also, it's almost unfathomable that plenty of the bills that we have talked about here do nothing to help people's lives, do nothing to put more food on the table, do nothing to help the unhoused, do nothing to help people get health care. But we're putting these bills here to create a divisive culture, which we should be coming together. There was nothing about this man that brought people together. And we're going to sit here and you bring a lot of bills that are controversial that I think that you should probably think about what is the purpose of us being here? It's to make Tennessee a better place. How does honoring a racist make Tennessee a better place?
Thank you, Mr. Dixie, and I'll give Mr. Bolso an opportunity to reply.
Thank you, Chairman Fritz, and thank you, Representative Dixie, for your comments. I mean, I'll simply point out that I think Charlie Kirk is someone who is the opposite of what I would consider to be a divisive figure, because he was someone who encouraged robust civil debate among those who had contrary opinions. And I certainly would disagree with the characterization of Charlie Kirk as a racist, because one thing that you always saw with Charlie Kirk, especially when he was engaged with young people in debates, is to avoid personalities, to avoid personal attacks, to avoid ad hominem attacks, not to debate personalities, but rather to debate ideas. And he was obviously someone who, I think politically speaking, was on the conservative side of the ledger, and he was very powerful in articulating and defending and supporting conservative values and ideas. But that, to me, is the kind of example we'd want to hold up to our young people. A young man who gave his life for his country and who didn't back down from any type of debate, but was able to do it in a constructive, civil manner, which is, I think, an example to all of us.
Thank you, Chairman Bolso. Representative Jones, you're next.
Thank you, Representative Fritz. Honestly, just deeply disturbed by this resolution. If I read it correctly, it says that whereas God did send Charlie, who became the preeminent voice of a generation, inspiring millions of young Americans to engage in civic discourse and reclaim the foundational values of faith, liberty, limited government, and individual responsibility. And I have this because I'm trying to figure out where in this bill it makes sense. It takes a certain amount of theological gymnastics to claim that this man was a representation of Christian faith. And if you don't mind, Representative Bulls, I'm going to read a few statements. And if you could just say yes or no if you believe this represents the Christian faith and something that we should commend as a state. This is from Charlie Kirk. Kirk claimed that passing the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a huge mistake and that has now become an anti-white weapon. Do you believe that this represents our faith or something we should commend in the state of Tennessee?
Chairman Bolso, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Chairman Fritz. I'll wait till the representative finishes his litany of questions and I'll respond to them all at the same time.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. I'll continue. On January 3rd, 2024, in an episode of his show, Charlie Kirk continued his incessant verbal assaults on women of color, saying, quote, "If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic Black woman, I wonder is she there because of her excellence or is she there because of affirmative action?" Do you believe that's a representation of our faith? During an April 5th, 2023 appearance at the Salt Lake City campus of Awakened Church, Charlie Kirk said, quote, "It's worth it to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is the prudent deal." Do you believe that is the representation of a faith that teaches us, blessed are the peacemakers, for they should be called the children of God? I'll continue. Charlie Kirk decried what he described as the myth of Martin Luther King Jr., calling him an, quote, awful and, quote, not a good person. Another time declaring him a, quote, serial adulterer, an alleged rapist, a reparations proponent, and a race Marxist. Do you believe that's a representation of our faith and something we should commend in the state of Tennessee? Finally, in a 2024 episode of his show, Kirk quoted a Leviticus passage calling for gay people to be stoned to death, referring to it as God's perfect law, and called for a Nuremberg-style trial for every gender-affirming clinic doctor. Do you believe that's a representation of Christian faith in which Jesus said, "You who are without sin cast the first stone"? Do you believe that's a representation of something we should commend to the state? I think what we're doing here is theological malpractice. It's immoral, and it's a disgrace at the highest level of our state government. It is unfortunate that Charlie Kirk was killed. I'm someone who will continue to advocate against gun violence against all people. But what we cannot do is try and make him into some type of Christian martyr when his life went counter to everything that our faith and our state should stand for. He is one of the most despicable humans to grace this nation. And of all the people we can commend with a day in Tennessee, he
Representative Jones, if I could please, much leeway, because I believe in civil debate here, but let's cut short on demeaning. There are family members perhaps that listen to this, so exercise some Christian compassion, please. Get your point across without being so detrimental toward a deceased person, I would ask.
I hear you, Mr. Chair, and I just ask that we have that same type of standard for Charlie Kirk, who, when after a school shooting happened, he said, well, that's the cost of the Second Amendment, who denigrated a dead man named Martin Luther King Jr. and called him a serial adulterer and attacked him, even though he was someone who was dead. If we're going to set that standard for members of this committee and saying that we have to honor Charlie Kirk, let's set the same standard for the way that he lived his life, which was denigrating people and beating down on people and not representing our faith.
And of course, the committee passed it, and it's gonna move on. It's such a joke, Rebecca, how these white nationalists want to turn Charlie Kirk into this martyr, and he engaged in civil debate with college students. I mean, cut the crap.
He was a 30-something-year-old man arguing with 18 and 19-year-old kids. That takes a lot of guts. That's a profile and courage. I mean, they might want to tap in Candace Owens. She's right up the street in Nashville, and see what she thinks about this. She would probably ask that committee if they would do an investigation on who killed Charlie Kirk. At least that's been, her focus over the last few months with her and the Scooby-Doo mystery machine that she's been working on. So, I appreciate Representative Justin Jones because I thought he had very thoughtful questions. I understand the passion of Representative Dixie, but when you are going back and forth with people who support a white supremacist, white Christian nationalism, just saying, this is bad, this is a racist, they don't care. That's the point. They know they're racist. They just don't want you to call it out and say that they're racist. At some point, the only way for Tennessee to change, especially in Tennessee's legislative house, the only way for it to change is voters in Tennessee have to, they're going to have to register people to vote. They're going to actually have to do turnout. And I know there's a lot of barriers in Tennessee that makes it harder for especially Black Americans in Tennessee to actually be able to vote. But it's ridiculous, the dribble and garbage that we've been seeing in that legislature. They just do a bunch of nonsensical stuff. And then to even fake Christian sympathy or Christian grace and say, don't speak ill of the dead. Are you serious? And then my final thing is, what connection does Charlie have to the state of Tennessee? He wasn't born there. He didn't live there. So why is it Tennessee's business on whether or not there's a Charlie Kirk Day there?
Yeah. Absolutely. Zachary?
Representative Bolso, Representative Bolso and all of his conservative counterparts are the brethren, are the children, are the offspring of Nathan Bedford Forrest, another Tennessean who these people probably idolize and want to uplift and honor in the same way they're trying to honor the fellow offspring of this man in Charlie Kirk and the rhetoric that he spewed and the hatred that he spread towards so many different marginalized groups in America. And I completely echo the sentiments of Representative Justin as well in terms of saying the violence that this man faced in no way is justified, it's inexcusable, it's heartbreaking on so many levels. But to say that he sacrificed his life for America and that he should be honored by a day is a slap in the face to every single American citizen living in the state of Tennessee. It is outrageous that we're seeing Republicans across the country using this man's death as a platform or as an opportunity to elevate white Christian nationalism and the thinking that this man spread around the country so that they can indoctrinate our children in schools and by making holidays. It causes for me extreme outrage. Thankful to those brothers and the work they're doing in Tennessee, but it's exactly as Rebecca says, we have got to motivate our Black brothers in Tennessee and sisters in Tennessee to get up and vote every single time. And it is hard. It's difficult. I live in Georgia. It's not easy here either. I'm from Mississippi. That's my home, my native land. Not easy there either. But that is the only way that we are going to stop the foolishness that's coming out of that specific state and their legislation. That's the only way. We've got to vote these people out of office and vote in people who are going to be good stewards of democracy.
Win Coney?
Representative Balso is just that. He's full of bull. He's full of bullshit. So the name holds correctly. I think what's even more disgusting is that Tennessee's not the only state that's doing this. My hometown of Florida, my home state of Florida, also passed a bill honoring Charlie Kirk. And so I'm really concerned about how the South is acting, but I'm not surprised. And these are the very states that we have to pay attention to in these 2026 midterms. These are folks that, again, are resting on this white evangelical white supremacy that they are, placating Black people like Representative Jones by saying, hey, let's try to put some respect on the name of the dead. But as the previous representative mentioned, nobody said anything about Jesse Jackson. Nobody says anything about the people in Tennessee that are slain at the hands of racism. And so the bigotry doesn't stop. It's not relegated to Tennessee either. And they didn't want to stop just at giving Charlie Kirk a day. They also wanted to create a bill that would require every public university to build him a memorial plaza, which would cost $18 million from Tennessee taxpayers. I'm glad that bill was actually halted, but unfortunately, Charlie Kirk Day prevails in Tennessee as it prevails in Florida. I wonder how many more states we'll see that will follow that charge.
Absolutely. All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. We come back. Politics. We'll talk about what happened last night in Texas and in North Carolina. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. Support our work. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. You want to contribute to this show, this network, please do so via Cash App. Use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. That QR code is also for credit cards. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
A decade of love, joy, and power. Black Voters Matter is 10 years old, and we are just getting started. This is love with a purpose. This is Black joy in motion. This is unstoppable power. Across campuses, neighborhoods, and back roads. Let's go! We show up not just to vote, but to be seen, to be heard, to belong. We ride together, we organize together. We remind each other that our voices matter, because they always have. Black Voters Matter is about more than ballots. It's about housing and healthcare, clean water and living wages, education, reproductive freedom, and dignity. It's about turning pain into action, turning belief into movement, turning community into power. We don't wait to be invited. We bring the energy. We bring the love. We bring the people. Because when Black communities come together, we don't just survive, we thrive. This is how change happens. This is how history moves. We organize, we build, we win.
Hey, I'm Malcolm Lee, and you're watching the Black Star Network.
All right, a lot of folks today are upset because of what happened last night in Texas. A lot of Black folks. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett was running for the Texas Democratic nomination for United States Senate against Texas State Senator James Talarico. Those two, there was a third candidate in the race, but it really was between these two. And here are the election results right here. This is what it came down to. Talarico getting 52% of the vote. 97.4% of the vote is in. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett getting 46% of the vote. And so some ballots still have to be counted. And I've been watching all the different commentary. I've been watching people say, oh, my God, this was awful. This was about, you know, white and Latino voters, locking out Black voters and all of that. You're wrong. Let me say it again. You're wrong. Listen, folks, I'm born and raised in Texas. I was watching this race from the beginning. I was looking at every single facet of this particular race. And here's the reality. If you look at the numbers and you're trying to win, understand overall the state of Texas. 60% of Texas is minority. That's Latino, that's African American, that's Asian American, that's Native American. Yet in elections, 60% of the voters are white. Texas has the most eligible Black voters of any state in the country. Yet when Colin Allred ran against Ted Cruz, 1.2 million Black folks did not vote. Let me say it again. 1.2 million did not vote. And so if you want to understand what was going on, you have to understand what were the strategies of both candidates. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett made it perfectly clear she was going to be unconventional. She was going to be putting money on television. She talked about a ground game. She really was locking up, trying to focus on the largest counties in Texas. Now, the 5 largest counties in Texas, they are Dallas, you got Harris County, where Houston is. You got Dallas County, Dallas is. Bexar County, San Antonio. Travis County, Austin. And then you have Tarrant County, where Fort Worth is. 4 of those 5 are blue counties, okay? Doesn't matter in primaries, though. But Tarrant County is the only red county. Here's the problem. And what did I say? I had the chair of the Texas Democratic Party on this show on Monday. I discussed this last week as well when I was in Los Angeles for the Image Awards. What did I tell y'all then? That in order to win the Democratic primary, you have to do the exact same strategy as Republicans in the general election. That if you only look at the most populous counties and you do not do well in the other parts of the state, you're not going to win. Go to my iPad, Elise. This right here is from the Texas Tribune. This is their breakdown of the map. Look at the map, y'all. You see blue? The blue here, that's all Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. The yellow you see right here are the counties that they have still yet to collect the votes from. The green, that's Talarico. What did I say? Now, what I also said was the issue was the margins. When Republicans beat Democrats, They win all of these states that are in Central, South, West, and the Panhandle because they rack up margins. All those votes add up. And so, if you look at, so let's take what happens, okay? Most of the votes in Texas, right here in the blue, where African Americans are. This right here, I'm going to show you, this is a map of the New York Times. Give me a second. I'm going to pull this up. This is from the New York Times. The New York Times map right here. It shows counties with more Hispanic voters. That's in the teal. The count, then of course where you see the sort of the purple east. So that's the areas with black voters. Then Crockett, y'all, the numbers are the numbers. So you see this portion right here. These are where all the black voters are in the state. You ain't got black folks who are west. So you also got to win down low. So what did Talarico did? He won these areas here, Latino votes. Down here in South Texas, right down here in South Texas, he won those places. The key is, what were the margins in those places, all right? Now, again, it comes down to math. It's not a question of, well, it's math, but also what kind of campaign that you run. So let me go back to this map right here. Okay, so let me pull this up. So I'm looking right here, Dallas County. You see this right here? Dallas County, the home county of Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. She got 163,379 votes. That's 58.9%. Talarico got 110,577, 39.9%. Y'all, she has no shot at winning if she does not hit 70% in her home county. Now, some of you are saying, well, they had the voter suppression and the Republicans because you couldn't vote countywide in your precinct. You're right. But guess what? It's the job of the Democratic Party and the candidates to tell folks how they must vote. I spoke at the MOK, City of Dallas MOK program on January 17th. At Friendship West Baptist Church, they had an MOK teach-in, and they were talking about the election. Do you know what they said? They said then, early voting, you got to vote countywide, but on election day, you got to vote in your precinct. So if I was the Crockett campaign, I should have been going hard telling people you got to vote early as opposed to waiting on election day. That was a huge mistake. And I got to be honest, y'all, on election day, it's a perfect example. There was a brother, he's an alpha, named Andre Turner. He was running for a Justice of the Peace position. Yesterday, I got 5 text messages. I'm still registered there in Dallas County. I got 5 text messages from his campaign about election day. I got 0 yesterday from the Crockett campaign. I want y'all to think about that. I got 0. And so the reality is, if I had to examine both campaigns, one of them had a campaign. Talarico had 30,000 volunteers. 30,000 volunteers. How many volunteers were the Crockett campaign? Let's talk about Harris County, okay, where Houston is. All right, let's look at numbers right there. Huge, huge numbers of black voters in Harris County. Look at the numbers. Jasmine Crockett did 52.2%, Talarico 46.7%. Yo, if that margin has to be at least 60% for her to make up losing in the other areas. Now, if I all of a sudden decide to go down south, look at these numbers right here, okay? This county right here, Talarico, 54.41. This county right here, 59.33. This county right here, 52. Let's go all the way out west. Right here, look at this, Talarico, 68.30. Let's go right here, Talarico, 56.41. Let's go right here, Talarico, 62.33. I can go here, okay, closer one, 51.44. The point I'm making is when you lose all of these counties in the rest of the state, you're not going to win the election because all of those votes matter. She's down 154,000 votes in the state. She's down 154,000. You cannot lose with that particular margin. So now what folks should be asking is, what were the difference between the two campaigns? What was the infrastructure? What were they doing? What was the GOTV efforts? Did you see signs and posters? What did you see? What was the investment? What was going on? Chuck Roca, Democratic consultant who was with the Talarico campaign, dropped this video. Listen to what he said, what their strategy was.
Good morning, everybody. What a crazy election night. You know, I've been in war rooms for 30 years on election night, watching results come in, and then last night was another crazy one. Before I head to the airport to get back to D.C., I need to tell you how this happened. It starts with the candidate. James Talarico is a special candidate, and I take nothing away from Jasmine Crockett, who ran an incredible race. You know, hat tip to her and her team. Hat tip to her and her team this morning. I love to see the unity and her coming together. We're going to win in November. We're going to beat the Republicans. But James Talarico ran the right kind of race at the right time. He also had an amazing staff. Seth, his manager, assembled a great crew, and they did an outstanding job. Gina Hinojosa, that's the Talarico Gina Hinojosa, and JT on the press team, that whole crew just worked day and night, and me getting to spend some time with them and see the energy on the ground really made some difference. But how did he win? He won because he showed up in communities. He ran advertising in those communities. He had an amazing field team with 28,000 volunteers, over 600 community events in just 8 weeks. They sent over 4 million peer-to-peer texts, like Grassroots organizing combined with paid advertising in digital, TV, radio, around sporting events, and a robust Latino advertising campaign in Spanish, in English, but a lot of Spanish advertising, a lot of advertising in the Valley. I'm going to write more about this later, but there's a reason why James won last night, because he had the full effect of a great team, a great message. He's a great candidate, and he assembled the right folks to actually get it done. There's going to be a lot written about the Latino vote and the strength of the Latino vote, and are Latinos moving back to the left? Well, last night proved one thing for damn sure. They will move back for James Talarico if you show up and give them a hopeful message. I'll talk to y'all in a little bit. I'm going to go get on an airplane. I love you all. Thank you for all the love and all the text and all the things this morning. I'm super excited. Gosh damn, it never gets old. Y'all be good.
The mistake that we are making, and I'm seeing people talk about, oh, Latinos and white voters, they're locking out black voters. Y'all, it's the primary. The reality is, if you're running a campaign and you're trying to win, you got to go where the votes are and who you're going to appeal to. Polling showed Crockett with an 86-10 when it comes to black voters. Remember the Mamdani race? Remember people like, why is the Mamdani going after black voters in the primary? Because his whole deal was, there were 4 or 5 black candidates who were running for New York City mayor. His whole deal was, I'm going to go after these voters here in order to win. So when I go to the general, then I can appeal to all voters. And I'm telling you right now, when I looked at this here, this is what I was looking at. I was looking at who was investing in black-owned media, what was on the ground game. I was calling home. I was going home. And you know what I was doing? I was going to black neighborhoods. And you know what I was looking for? Yard signs. I was looking for posters. I was talking to folks saying, what mailers are you getting? What door knocks are you getting? How many times are you being visited? How many text messages you're getting? And here's the reality. Talarico, they were doing that. And I know it's hard folks to deal with. And listen, I live in Congresswoman Crockett's district. I voted for Congresswoman Crockett. In terms of, she's run a couple of times. But elections are not just about a candidate. Elections are not just about name ID. Elections are not just about money. It's also about infrastructure. And if you do not put the infrastructure in place, you're not going to win the primary. You can't be focusing on the general if you don't focus on the primary. Now, it was a whole lot going back and forth on social media between white supporters of Talarico, black supporters of Crockett, black supporters of Talarico, white supporters of Crockett, Latino as well. But elections, again, are about how do you target your base voter? It's not just in this race. I can go back, same thing. If I look at 2018, you had a black state senator, Royce West, Dallas County, who was running against a woman who ran for Congress in Austin area. He lost 52-48. Guess what? When I pulled the data, he won 60% of his home county, Dallas County. Wasn't going to cut it. He only won Harris County by about 3 points. Wasn't going to cut it. If you have a big county strategy, there's only 5 big counties in Texas. It still 249 other counties. That's how Talarico was able to win last night, folks. It's the numbers, it's the data, it's also the infrastructure. That's what happened last night. Now, let me do this here. Let's go to some other races that we saw last night. You've got a runoff happening in Texas for the race for the congressional seat in Houston. You got Menifee versus Al Green. Neither one of them received, give me 1 second, let me go down to that race. Neither one of them got to 50 plus 1%. And so now they're going to go to a runoff. Now, what's interesting, I had some people hit me, and they were like, well, man, I don't understand. Here you got Congressman Al Green, very well known. First of all, before I go to that, here in District 29, you had incumbent Sylvia Garcia, Latino, who was running against Jarvis Johnson, former black state rep. She wins, holds at 58-35. Now, the seat that Congresswoman Crockett, not necessarily her old seat because the map changed, but in that particular race, Pastor Frederick Douglass Haynes III, he wins last night 72.6% against Barbara Mallory Carraway. She's run a whole lot. Even when Eddie Breeze Johnson was there, he wins that. But if I go to Houston, give me 1 second. Oh, let's stay there in the Dallas area. Colin Allred, who wanted his old seat back. Colin Allred gets 44% of the vote against incumbent Julie Johnson, 33%. They now go to a runoff in that particular race as well. And let me see here. Give me a second. I must have passed it up. I'm going to go to the Houston race. Where are we? Not that one. Again, it's going to be Menifee and Al Green in that particular race. And here's the problem in that particular race there, because people were hitting me up last night. Hey, Christian Menifee, he gets 46% to incumbent Al Green's 44%. Amanda Edwards, who actually, because you got to remember, it was very weird because you had to file by a certain day. The special election for the old 30th was in January, but you had to file for the 18th by December 8th. So Amanda Edwards lost to Christian Menifee in the special election. She announced that she was dropping out of the District 18 race, and so, but she still got 7,300 votes. And so now, people were hitting me up saying, I don't understand. My goodness, Al Green's been up for a very long time. But here's the piece. Christian Menifee has literally been running for 14 months. He announced early last year, of course, Governor Greg Abbott delayed that race until, December? So he was running all year. Special election was actually in January. Then runoff was in January. Then you have this race. So he's been on the ground, airways for that time. So we'll see what now happens in the general election or the runoff election between Menifee and Al Green, whether or not Green will be beaten. And remember, Menifee is filling the old seat. Congressman Sylvester Turner died. He replaced Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. So he's filling that old seat, but he was running against Green for the new seat. So that's what happened there in Texas. We're going to talk about North Carolina in just a moment, but I want to go to my panel here to get their thoughts. Also, there was another also out of Dallas. Amber Green, she stepped down as a judge. She was being targeted. They had some allegations of misconduct. That didn't matter. She beat longtime district attorney and former judge John Creuzot for the Democratic nomination for district attorney there in Dallas. She's up 3 points. Still some ballots to count, but Green is leading in that race as well. So a whole lot that was happening in Texas last night. Let's go to our panel to get their thoughts. Ben Cooney, I'll start with you. Just your assessment of this Crockett Talarico campaign.
Well, it was clearly a lot going on, like you said, but I think When people say the real difference between Crockett and Talarico was largely stylistic, a lot of the things and legislation and campaign that they ran on was largely similar. The only difference is, Talarico was running as a white evangelical, and Jasmine Crockett was obviously running as herself as a Black woman. I think you said something poignant, though, Roland, in terms of who was investing in minority-owned media, Black-owned media, but also what the campaign strategist said, who was investing in Latin-owned media? It was James Talarico. When you look at what the United States Census Bureau estimates, 40% of Texas's population is Latino. So it makes perfect sense to me that those who captured the Latino vote were those who were the winners, which was James Talarico last night. It also makes sense to me that you can't simply focus on the 5 largest metropoles in Texas and think that you're going to get the entire state. Texas is one of the biggest states in the United States, and that's the very reason why the margins are so very important. I think what it boils down to is performance across the state, electoral dynamics and messaging, and the different controversies. Nobody really has talked about the fact that there was a lot of legal and procedural issues that happened in Dallas County in terms of how they changed where people had to vote, in terms of they couldn't vote at any available precinct. They had to vote at their home precinct. And a lot of people didn't necessarily know where their home precincts were. But
let's stop right there. Let's stop right there. That was well known. So here's the question. I got to put it out there. If that's the case, then whose job is it to tell people?
You're right. You're absolutely right. It's the candidate's job to tell people.
And I also want people to understand something. There are 254 counties in Texas. That only happened in 2, Dallas County and Williamson County. That was the only 2. So it wasn't like it was all across the state. And again, as somebody who was there in January, they were telling people then, this is one of those things that if you knew that was going to be the case, then there should have been a massive effort to educate, let folks know, texting, robocalls, all that stuff. And here's the other thing, push folks to vote early because you knew that was going to be election day drama. Finish your point.
No, you're absolutely right, Roland. I think that responsibility falls on the shoulders of the candidates. And unfortunately, like you said, one candidate was simply out messaging the other candidate. And in these elections, that's exactly how people win.
Zachary?
Roland. Now, let me tell you. You're not going to get me on this show and then get me canceled by all of Black America.
No, this is not about getting canceled. It's called being truthful.
You can get away. Let me be serious for a moment, because this is really why you are the voice of Black America, and you're coming to us at a time when emotions are high and raw, and we all feel, very disappointed and let down. But there are facts to this situation that you have spoken that I actually realized a long time ago as I watched this campaign unfold. I am a huge fan and supporter of Representative Jasmine Crockett and will continue to be there for her, like I think many of your viewers will be, because we have seen her work. But we also, some of us may recognize the campaign wasn't run in a way that we may have wanted it to be run, or as tight for those of us who know how politics work and know how the game should be played happened. Part of that is in part due to the fact that she was a late entry into the race for a number of reasons. Part of it is due to the fact of what Texas did to redraw these maps, and this is all a part of it. We saw other very popular incumbents on different sides suffer through what happened yesterday. But I have to be honest with you, Roland Martin, and say with the full conviction of a fellow Scorpio that everything that you said just now was 100% accurate and right. And I am in shock that you sat your butt up here and said it. Well, kudos to you for having the balls. Kudos to you for the big balls.
Look, I listen. There were people who were reacting, and again, I'm watching this from day one. First of all, I understand the point by saying that started late. No, the filing deadline was December 8th. The filing deadline was December 8th, okay? Dishes were changed. Congresswoman Crockett jumps into the race. But here's the deal. Even though Talarico got in earlier, she starts the campaign off with massive massive name recognition, okay? And so the question then becomes, okay, how do you construct a campaign in order to win? You got to win March 3rd before you can run in November. And so if anybody's focused on, and there were a lot of people who I talked to who were calling me, who were Crockett supporters, who were saying, oh, she got it. And I was like, I'm sorry, what are y'all doing? I said, guys, you got to win March 3rd before you get to November. You can't act like this guy is a pimple on an elephant's ass. I'm like, no, that ain't how this works. You got to really focus on this race. You got to take him out if you want to win. He got to take her out to get to November. And again, there were some people, some well-meaning people, some brothers and sisters who were saying, oh man, she got this, she got this. And I said, I'm telling y'all, don't skip over the primary because he's going to run to win. And folks hit me, they were like, damn, man, you were right. I'm like, what were y'all doing? You can never assume. If you are a donor or a supporter, you can never assume. And I'm telling you what I was looking at. And understand, my mama and daddy are 78. They have worked campaigns. They have run phone banks. I was with them putting up yard signs and posters and standing out in front of polls. I'm saying what I was seeing was, where was the team? Where were the people? Where was Harris County? I grew 3rd Ward, Texas, where my high school is, Jack Yates. Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church is a block away. Massive mega church. TSU is across the street. University of Houston is across the street. I went home to 3rd Ward. I didn't see Crockett stuff everywhere. I went, this is black. February 22nd, I spoke at a church in 5th Ward, right next door, Phyllis Wheatley High School. I didn't see what I thought I was going to see. And I was like, yo, we in 5th Ward and 3rd Ward, and if you go to Acres Homes, if you go to Sunnyside, you go to these black parts of Houston, I wasn't seeing the energy that I thought I was going to see. And I was like, yo, this is a problem, because I knew based upon the last, when Royce West ran, that you needed massive turnout in Harris County and Dallas County, because those are the 2 biggest counties. Rebecca.
Thank you. So I'm going to start my comments with just a little bit of gratitude. I am grateful that I've actually worked on the ground on campaigns in Texas. I'm grateful that I have been a campaign manager, including on statewide races. I'm also grateful that I've been a campaign manager for federal races as well. I'm also have a degree in political science. I understand how to read data and also spotting when data is incomplete. I'm also an attorney, lead a national voting rights organization, and spend a lot of time on the VRA. So in saying all of these things, I think it's important in any post-mortem to have complete data. And while I hear your analysis, Roland, I think you have some incomplete data there.
How
Not
so?
saying that your conclusion.
How so?
I'm getting there. Can you put up the screen of the map that you're standing in front of?
Yeah, it's right here. It's up.
Cool. Thank you. So here's a few things. And I've worked a lot of war rooms. So like me and Chuck, like in fact, when I was at MoveOn.org, we hired Chuck to do a lot of the Spanish digital and Spanish media. So I'm very familiar with the work that he does. So like, for instance, you're showing up, I wish there was a green screen behind me because I could just point to it. So I'll have to get my green screen. So for instance, you see how you have the breakdown of counties of you have the yellow for Tide, you have the green for Talarico, you have the blue for Jasmine and Crockett. In order to have complete data in doing this analysis, you need to have the map where you can actually pull through and see the raw data of the number of votes per county. Because one thing that
you can, I can. Which county you want to look at?
So I want the aggregate total of the counties, especially the eastern part of the state that Jasmine picked up. I want you to pull up the raw data. I want to be able to see even the population centers.
Okay.
Versus in a lot of the green.
So right here, you take Navarro County.
Now you're standing in front of it, so I can't see it.
No, okay. So Navarro County, she got 61% of the vote. She got 1,300 votes compared to Talarico's 760. Next door, Limestone County, she got 695 to 293. Next to that, Freestone County, 549 to 196. Falls County, 547 to 165. Coryell County, she got 1,928. Talarico, 1,006. Bell County, she got 16,000.
So now I want you to go out. So now I want you to go towards Midland, Odessa. I want you to go towards here. Let me move my screen around. I want you to go up towards Amarillo. All of the areas that went for Talarico. Showing what those raw data.
So in Gray County, that's one in the Panhandle. 125 Crockett, 95 Talarico. The next one.
Show the green. So Talarico's totals, the ones he won.
Okay, gotcha. So the one next to it, Wheeler County, 3326. Above Wheeler was Hemphill, 2619. On the opposite side of that, Hutchinson, 170, 118. Armstrong, 25-7. Floyd, 7169. And then I'm gonna go over here. This was Smith County, Talarico, 169. Crockett, 132. Oldham County, Talarico, 16-5, and then I can skip all around.
Okay, so the reason why I'm pointing to this is that when I have run competitive primaries, one of the things to know as you're picking and choosing and deciding where you deploy resources, regardless if, like, I've had candidates who had 3 months to run. I've had other candidates who had 22 months that they started their campaign super early and were able to set up the organization. The reason why I point that out, it is a little misleading and it's incomplete data just to show the screen of where you see all the green of the counties that Talarico won versus the blue counties that Jasmine won. Because anytime you have a county and we see the total Democratic total is less than 200 people, if I'm picking and choosing my organization of where I'm going to deploy some of my field teams, I'm not going to pick those less populous counties.
Right.
I'm not going to all 254
Okay, let's go south.
counties.
Okay, let's go.
Wait.
Let's go south. Webb County. I just pulled up Webb
towards Corpus Christi. Then I want you to go into the RGB.
I just did. I just pulled up Webb County. Yep. Webb County, Talarico, 15,369. Crockett, 7,500. That's in Webb County.
Here, hold on, scoot over. I'm looking at the raw data.
So
right,
I'm looking at you take Willacy County, Talarico, 1,099, Crockett, 836. If I go to first of all, we'll go to Bexar County. James Talarico, Bexar County, which was the San Antonio Express News was the
San Antonio.
No, one second. I'm about to tell you. San Antonio Express News was the only major daily newspaper in Texas that endorsed Crockett. That's where Bexar County is. Well, here are the numbers. James Talarico in Bexar County, where San Antonio is, 108,838. Jasmine Crockett, 79,919. So he actually won a larger percentage of votes in Bexar County than she won a percentage of votes in Harris County. And so this is what I'm.
So this is my point, Roland. And once again, I'm not saying that she ran a great campaign. That's not what I'm saying either. But I just want folks to really understand when we're talking about things. And I get there's a lot of people online, they're saying all social stuff. I'll probably do a video later to do a full breakdown on this particular race. The reason why I raised that is I hear what you're saying about, you didn't see yard signs. I hear it, I understand that. Now, one thing I've told all my candidates, especially when time and money is limited, because she was outraised, I think it was like 5-1. When time and money is limited, yard signs don't vote. However, to your point, this is one thing that I've also told candidates. Yard signs, that type of visibility, we call it visibility. That type of visibility is an exercise of your organization's strength. So if you're able to organize the state, organize your staff in such a way where you're able to disseminate your information out, you're able to disseminate yard signs if your budget allows, that shows some organizational strength. But the mere presence of having yard signs or not having yard signs,
it wasn't just yard signs.
It isn't sufficient to prove strength. The other thing that I want to point out,
but it wasn't just...
hold on, Roland. But Roland, here's something very important that you also said. You mentioned on election day you didn't receive any texts. Guess what? You shouldn't receive a text. You know why? Because you told us you voted on like February 20th, right? So what happens from a campaign's perspective? When early voting starts, every single day we get the results of who voted in what county. Mm-hmm. We get that from either the state board or we get it from the county board. We then go into VAN, the voter action that we go into VAN, and that's the primary tool they use to contact voters. And you remove those who voted early from the list. So when you're doing an election day push and pushing out information, you remove all those who voted early.
Talarico didn't. I got a text message from the campaign.
Talarico should have.
But follow me here. But hold on, wait, 1 second. But 1 second.
That's a waste of resources.
But here's the deal, though. Here's the deal, though.
That's the reality, Roland.
No, I got that. But I'm also looking at what you also didn't address when I talked about he had amassed more than 30,000 volunteers, folks who were being trained.
I'm getting there.
And here's the deal.
I'm getting there.
Her volunteer numbers weren't even close to that. So again, when I talk about infrastructure, and when I talk about infrastructure in terms of your running, it's your paid staff, it's your volunteers, who are the folks out there who are driving your campaign. And so that was also an issue. See, a lot of black folks. But
now remember, Roland, I'm not saying she ran a great campaign. No. For the analysis that you're providing, you have to have complete data.
Right. First of all, Rebecca, I have complete data. It's a whole lot of data I don't have. I'm not talking about. What I'm saying here for black folks, when we're talking about, we got overlooked. No, we didn't. Harris County's turnout was actually higher than the previous primary. What folk got to recognize is this is a primary. And in a primary, when you're trying to run, when you look at who you're looking at, it's black, it's white, it's Latino, it's Asian, it's Native American. You're looking at demos. There's a significant Asian American population in Houston. If you're Vietnamese American, I'm telling you right now, there's a huge community there that gives, that also votes. And so if you're targeting different groups, you're going to do that. And what I'm saying is, when I looked at both campaigns, when I looked at their strategy, what I saw from Talarico's campaign was an extremely focused, large volunteer base that was driving his stuff on the ground. I didn't see the same on Crockett's campaign, and that shows up on election day when you start tabulating votes. And so, again, also, one of the things that we talk about television and radio, I was sitting here, again, margins, looking at the numbers. It was like, she's got to drive huge black turnout in Dallas and Harris County. I was also looking at what was invested to do that. Black radio, newspapers, digital. I did not necessarily see that. So as people are sitting here...
So the local black media infrastructure is very different than the Latino media infrastructure in Texas. Full stop.
I know.
Now, where I can't...
I ran three of them. I know.
So, and you know how they consolidated, and some of them bounce left, move their money, and they're just doing satellite there. It's no longer local. So here's my point. Do I think that there should have been a significant investment in Latino media? Absolutely. Now, you have to remember, I'm positing this as I'm not saying that she ran a great campaign. I also understand the numbers. Now I understand what complete data looks like versus incomplete data.
Yeah, but see, here's the deal, though. I'm not saying great. I'm not saying great versus bad. What I'm laying out, because I want our audience.
I'm not accusing you of that.
No. This is not for you. The reason I'm not saying great or bad for our audience. The problem is, as I've listened to a bunch of people post videos and post comments, and I'm seeing these, I'm like, y'all aren't looking at what happened. People are responding with emotion. They're not responding with what actually happened, how campaigns were constructed, where resources were placed, where time and energy was placed, what the focus was here and there. And so I'm telling you right now, I had no problem saying it. I was extremely concerned with Crockett's campaign on February 1st. When I saw, I remember when the first poll dropped, there was a poll that dropped that showed him in the lead. And the reaction was, oh, outlier, low sample. I said, that's actually a shot across the bow. If you're the opposite campaign, should be concerned about that. Listen, the Kamala Harris robocall. I'm not dropping her robocall on the last day of early voting on Friday. I'm dropping her robocall the first day of the last week of early voting to allow it to gain traction Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So again, when I just looked at how both campaigns were moving, somebody has to explain to our people what happened. What I'm tired of are people responding with emotion and not even thinking through the dynamics of what happened. And again, it's the primary. I'm seeing right now a bunch of black people, damn this shit, I ain't voting in November. Well, that's stupid. Because I'm like, that's absolutely dumb, because if you're black and you don't vote in November, you're actually allowing somebody else to control your fate. Somebody needs to walk our people through the data so they understand what went on. There are going to be other postmortems, but I just felt there was a lot of people being hella emotional today, which is natural. And I'm like, no, we got to walk folk through at actually what happened. Finish your comment, and then I'm going to go back another round.
Okay. So
and then I'll break down North Carolina, too.
Okay, Roland. So, because I see the time. So let's do a couple things here. Leading up to the midterms in the fall, let's figure out if there's going to be a show where we could do a breakdown of what people should be watching for and looking for on election night. I'm more than willing to sit with you and your team and pull like some of the specific data that's going to be the bellwether for determining what election night is going to look like. This is something that I've done in war rooms for years, is how we're able to predict what's happening as we go into the actual election day. Something else just to raise for your audience. I want to pull us back to 2013 for a second. What concerns me the most about last night, regardless of which candidate won the Texas Democratic Senate primary, is that this is not going to bode well for Democrats in the fall. And here's the reason why. Going back and understanding the early voting centers, Wynn Cooney was mentioning this, but let's talk about the early voting centers. What happened in Texas is that Republicans decided they no longer wanted to do joint polling locations with Democrats. So to explain that for your audience, for most of you all who are voting this year, especially in primaries, if say your spouse is a Republican and you're a Democrat, if you all are registered to vote, at the same residence, you all will be going to the same location in order to cast your ballot. What happened during election day, what happened during election season in this year is that the Republican locations and the Democratic locations were different because the Republicans didn't sign the MOU saying that they were going to have joint polling locations.
In Dallas and Williamson, County.
Yes.
Just those two.
Yes. Now Republicans attempted to do this statewide.
Yep.
The reason why they weren't able to do this statewide, because it's extremely expensive.
Yes.
You can ask any local election administrator, this is a dumb idea. This is not how you do elections. So I just want people to understand that was also some of the things that happened. Now, to Roland's point, to Roland's point, the Democratic Party failed. And this is the reason why I do not think the Democrats are going to be able to win the Texas Senate race this year. Dallas County specifically, I can show you that it's an example of a weak Democratic Party. How do I know that? And why does it matter if the party is weak in Dallas County? We saw that there was a duly elected Democratic mayor of Dallas. He gets in his seat and then he flips and he becomes a Republican. That lets you know right now that the strength of the Dallas County Democratic Party is not strong, and it's
but here's the deal. But Clay Jenkins, the county.
I'm going to get to my point of why it matters.
But Clay, okay, he's the mayor of Dallas, the city of Dallas. Clay Jenkins, who is the county judge, is a Democrat. Democrats actually control the commissioner's court in Dallas County. Go ahead.
I'm talking about the party apparatus. I'm not talking
No,
about
I understand
the
that.
electeds.
But you're talking the county apparatus, and what I'm saying is Johnson is the mayor of the city of Dallas. When you talk about the Dallas County, there are 34 cities that comprise Dallas County. So it's not just the city of Dallas. So what I'm saying
But it's
is
still the seat of the county.
I understand it's the seat of the county, but what I'm saying is you have Democrats that control the county commission. So here's what needs to be happening right now.
So
You
I
know
want
who
to
you're
get to
not.
the point of why it matters and why I'm making this point.
No, I
This
get
is
why
the
it
reason
matters.
why it matters.
What I'm saying
I've
is
been a
what needs to happen
campaign
right now
manager
is
when at
they
the
got to be
last
driving the
minute, polling
messaging.
locations changed. And it directly impacted Black and Latino voters.
Yes.
So I'm talking about my experience of what we had to do when that happened. I had to lean on the Democratic County Party to help push out information to make sure every registered Democrat was aware of the change. The reason why it matters, especially in the Dallas County, is because of 2013. In 2013, for your audience, Shelby v. Holder happened. And what that means, the pre-clearance provision, which means before you make any changes to polling locations, it has to be pre-cleared by the Department of Justice, especially in suspect counties, which Dallas County is. Guess what? That is no longer the law of the land. So
But Rebecca, that's 2013. In 2018.
But I'm telling you.
Rebecca, one second.
You,
Rebecca, I'm a Dallas County voter. In 2018,
and I'm a national voting rights
Rebecca, one second.
What's going to happen in the
But
fall.
Rebecca, what I'm about to say is this here. In 2018, the legislature was pissed off when all these Democrats kept getting elected in Dallas and Harris County by straight ticket. So in Austin, they got rid of straight ticket voting. So what then happened? The parties had to then readjust their strategy in order to with the new rules. So my whole deal is I'm not focusing on what the worry is. I'm looking at how do you challenge that? So this is what I'm saying to Black people, to Black churches, to Black grassroots groups. Once we know what the rules are, if that stands, you can't vote on election day countywide and only in your precinct, then the goal has to be driving the information. I'm not waiting on the county. I'm not waiting on the Dallas County Democratic Party. What I'm saying to Black people in Dallas County and in Harris County and East Texas, this is where we also are driving the information. This is why I'm saying to us, fund Black voters. Black voters matter. I ain't waiting on some white Democrat. We just had the state chair on the show Monday. He said on the show, there are 20% of the counties in Texas that don't even have a Democratic chair. He said of the precinct chairs, they only have 36% of the precinct Democratic chairs filled in the whole state. So what I'm saying for Black people, damn the party, what is our organization and mobilization going to be in order to combat them? That's all I'm saying. We know how they change the rules. Our job is to hurdle the rules, and I need us mobilized and organized to do so. I got to go to North Carolina. Perfect example.
34 minutes ago, you said the party should have done it. So that's why I'm following up on what you said 34 minutes ago.
But Rebecca, you also missed when I said I was at Friendship West Baptist Church on MLK teach-in on January 17th, where the Black organizers were telling the people of the new rules. And two things can be right at the same time. We should be doing it, and the party should have been doing it as well, and the campaign should have been doing it. But what I'm saying is, in the general election is 6 months away. It's in November. We got April, we got all of March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. We got 8 months to get our shit together. And what I'm saying is, I'm not waiting on a party. That's my point.
But this isn't all on Black folks.
No. I'm talking to Black people. I have Black interest. The party, they got to do what they're supposed to do. Talarico got to do what he's supposed to do. Hina Hosa, running for governor, got to do what she's supposed to do. All the Democrats who are running statewide got to do what they're supposed to do. I'm saying to Black people in my state of Texas, We got to do what we got to do to protect our interests. I ain't waiting on them. That's all I'm saying. And the same thing, I talked about North Carolina. What happened there? I was talking to Bishop Barber last night. Here's what happened there. How did black folks mobilize? Perfect example. The brother you see right here, Gary McFadden, we've had him on the show. He was making it clear he wasn't dealing with ICE. The Republicans targeted him and tried to take him out. Boom, he won last night. Also, you see this sister right here, Carla Cunningham. She was ADOS. She voted with the Republicans when it came to ICE. Yo, they took her out. She got blown out where Rodney Sadler, who's a part of Bishop Barber's Moral Mondays, 72% of the vote, he took her out. You had a couple of other races as well. Let me pull up their results where you had 3 incumbents. There was another African-American who ran. He often voted with Republicans to overrule the vetoes of the governor in that state. And give me one second. I think it's right here. Let me pull up his name. Well, guess what? That brother lost last night as well. So what that means is what you saw last night, Win Cooney, that means you saw black. Oh, here it is. Shelley Willingham of Edgecombe. This brother right here, he often voted, again, with Republicans. First of all, Roy Cooper, of course, we knew he was going to win. He got 92% of the vote for the U.S. Senate. But Shelby Willingham, he often voted to overrule Democratic vetoes. You got Democratic governor there. You had Democratic governor before him. They got him out of there as well. That happened when Cooney, because black people organized and mobilized and said, you ain't represent us, you got to go.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I thought that was a spirited debate, y'all. I admire the discourse about Texas before we move to North Carolina. And I want to say that we're all very proud of the race that was run, but I think it doesn't negate the facts, right? Like, I think a lot of people look at Jasmine Crockett as a national figure, but the local race was what was missed. But moving on to North Carolina, I think it's so important that we pay attention to what's going to happen in the Senate. We see Roy Cooper going up against Michael Whatley. This is going to be critical to see who's going to control the Senate in November. So this is what we really want people to be paying attention to and have eyes to. We have a really big race ahead of us, obviously in Texas. Even though James Talarico has won, we're still wondering to see if Texas is going to be able to flip that seat. We have a realistic chance of being able to do that in North Carolina, and I need people to focus on what Roy Cooper is doing in North Carolina. I also need people to focus on the fact that there is some challenges going on within the Republican Party, as we're very well aware of. The reason why the incumbent Republican, Tom Tillis, is not running is because he's been constantly infighting with Donald Trump. And so not all is okay in paradise in North Carolina, and I think Democrats really need to take the opportunity to seize on that and make sure that we flip that blue come November.
One of the things that we saw, this is the case, this is a congressional race. Incumbent Valerie Fouché, she ran against a Justice Democrat, Nita Allen. A huge thing, the AIPAC was a huge part of this, a lot of discussion. She won 49.2 to 48.2. She won by a little bit, looks like about 1,200 or so, 1,202 votes. Zachary, this has been major because you've got CBC members who were complaining about Justice Democrats, Bernie Sanders targeting CBC members. You've got people saying, well, CBC members shouldn't be accepting AIPAC money. I've heard people saying, wait a minute, Valerie Fouché is a progressive. Is she as progressive as someone else? No. This now causes a discussion of, okay, how do you define a progressive? How do you define who's more progressive? But guess what? At the end of the day, it also comes down to the voters, and the voters decided they're sending Valerie Fouché back to Congress.
Roland Martin is determined to get me canceled tonight because I have to speak the truth as the truth is. And Congresswoman Fouché completely, to me, represents exactly what needs to continue to happen for our CBC members. The Black community sticks with our candidates. We support and we endorse those who fight for us. And that's exactly what Representative Fouché has done throughout the entirety of her political career. And if people have an issue with our CBC candidates being funded and taking money from PACs, then they need to donate and fund them. The people who attacked her would not levy $1 for her, And if she had not won that seat, soon they wouldn't be even supporting her challenger. So let's keep this, tell it real. Let's tell it real. I am so thankful that she won, and I am hopeful that every member of our CBC who currently sits in office will continue to win and continue to push through if they are able-bodied. If they are able-bodied. We are losing Black representation.
Sounds like you being shady about a certain race. Come on, go. If you're gonna go there, go ahead and say it. Don't be trying to sit and straddle the fence. Are you talking about David Scott?
Dr. Zachary Kirk has no problem saying that I appreciate and I respect the service of Congressman David Scott, who represents Georgia's 13th Congressional District, although he lives in Georgia's fighting 5th Congressional District, where Congresswoman Akima Williams is his actual Congresswoman. I have no problem saying that, but this gentleman has not been able to vote in the last 7 elections, and his health is in question. We cannot afford to lose a seat. We can't afford to have a possible Republican governor of Georgia replace him with a Republican in the Georgia 13th Congressional District. If he is not able-bodied and if he is not well, he needs to step down because he has a full slate of very competent people running for that seat. That includes Dr. Heavenly Kimes, that includes educator Everton Blair, that includes Georgia State Senator Emmanuel Jones, and that includes Georgia State Representative Jasmine Clark. The slate is there. So again, we need Black representation. We're losing Representative Crockett. We're losing VC. We're losing people that, we're losing a seat that's going to be held by Menifee or Representative Green. We can't afford to continue to lose Black representation. We need every single person that can be there to represent our community. So I'm glad Boucher won. Period. Very thankful.
Also, before I go to Rebecca, and this is a critical race, it's going to be a rematch. Incumbent Democrat Don Davis is going to face the same person he beat last time, Laurie Buckout. This is in the 1st Congressional District. The Republicans actually gerrymandered this district. They made it more Trump. It was a +2 Trump district. Now it's, I think it's like +10, +11. So that's going to be tough. And again, that's in East North Carolina. This is where we're going to have, this is what I keep just saying to our people. In races like this here, and I'm going to go back to Texas as well, we have to maximize our vote. We cannot win. Black people, listen to me. We cannot win in places with 38, 40, 42, 45, 48, 52% turnout. We've got to be targeting at a minimum 70% turnout. And so they've carved this district up. But if we hit our numbers, then, and we know how they may vote, their voting is stable. If their voting is stable and we take our numbers, let's say from 50 to 70, y'all, that's the race. And so that's also what I need us to understand. I'm going to go back to Texas. Colin Allred lost to Ted Cruz by 900,000 votes. 1.2 million eligible Black people did not vote. I'm not saying it's all on us, but if half of those Black folks vote, now all of a sudden, now how do you now put together a winning coalition? That is going to be Talarico's issue in the fall. Talarico cannot win in Texas without Latino voters, Black voters, and white voters. Beto O'Rourke ran for governor against Greg Abbott. 75% of people 30 and under did not vote. And so what I'm saying to Black people, I don't know what white folks gonna do. I don't know what Latinos gonna do. I don't know what Asian Americans gonna do. I know what we need to do in order to represent our interests. Rebecca, this race in North Carolina, again, this race, listen, Republicans have a very narrow margin. They want to steal this seat. Democrats are going to have a tough time holding on to this congressional seat in North Carolina.
Yeah, so that's going to be a competitive race, but also there's something that's going on in North Carolina. I think it's the 5th Congressional District. That's Republican Virginia Fox. That's the district that she's the incumbent for.
Yep.
I just want to point out with the primary last night, you had Kaya Creekmore running against someone. I'm going to shout out Kaya Creekmore because he's 24 years old. He's a North Carolina A&T Aggie, and he decided that he wanted to do something. And so I just want to throw that out there as we're talking about these crucial campaigns this year. I need listeners, especially if you don't like what's going on, consider running for office. You don't have to start at Congress. You could run in a state or local office, but even start now. There's going to be plenty of state and local offices that are open next year. So start thinking now of what it takes to qualify for the ballot and what it takes to put together a campaign.
To your point, here are the numbers. To the numbers, you said Creekmore. He lost to Chuck Hubbard, but Hubbard got 25,546. Creekmore got 19,483. That's 56.7 to 43.3. And again, first time. And so listen, Congressman Jim Clyburn lost 2 or 3 times before he got elected. And so 43.3 coming out of the gate is good. Now, you keep working at it. You keep working at it, and then you can be victorious.
And he's 24 years old. He's a young Black king. And one of the things that he really did was, Roland mentioned this earlier about going into community. He really worked to unite a lot of the HBCUs, HBCU students. He worked the various Black communities in the Greensboro area, and he over-indexed in certain counties where people didn't even think that he would clear even 1,000 votes. So saying that, as we prepare for November, it's going to be tough because we do not have a functional VRA. The reason why it's important to point that out, Roland mentioned that Colin Allred in Texas, there was 1.2 million Black folks who were registered to vote who didn't turn out, and Colin lost by 900,000 votes. Here's something to note here. If there was a VRA in place, it likely would have been probably upwards to 2.5 million eligible Black folks who could register the vote. So I do want people to understand what it means to vote during these times when there aren't protections. And yes, it impacts brown communities. Yes, it impacts both Asian communities and Latino communities as well. But this anti-voter laws, voter suppression, it's a disparate effect on Black communities. I know we try to lump it together and say Black and brown, or we even try to say people of color, but do know those rules are on the books because it was anti-Black rules. So when we see how it plays out with Black voters, it's going to have an extremely negative impact, a greater negative impact on Black people.
Yeah, and what I'm saying to Black people, we got 8 months to get ready. And what I'm saying is to Black people, I'm not waiting on a candidate. I'm not waiting on a party. And I'm saying right now that I keep saying, why should we donate to Black Voters Matter? Why should we be donating to Until Freedom? Why should we be donating to Repairs of the Breach? Because we've got to ensure that we've got Black organizations who are doing the work to drive Black voter turnout. A mistake that we have made, and I dare say really the last 20, 30 years, is we have allowed the party apparatus to replace our Black grassroots apparatus. And I'm saying we cannot depend on them. That's why when we Win with Black Men, when we raised 1.5 million for Harris, I said, hey, I ain't sending all the money back. We kept $450,000. And people criticized us, and I'm like, I don't give a damn what y'all have to say. I wasn't gonna send 1.5 to the campaign to beg some white strategist, can you send 100 back? No, we wasn't doing that. And so what I'm saying is we have the capacity. If we raise in that one night 1.5 million for the Harris campaign, you don't think we can raise another $2 million in 2026 to fund a Black male effort? Damn asking the DNC, the DCCC, the DSCC, Democratic Governors Association, what's your Black male initiative? Damn that. Right. I'm saying, no, what's our Black male initiative? Okay? And so who are the groups on the ground who are doing the work? That's what this thing is all about. And so that was my whole point earlier. I'm not waiting on them. If we know they're going to change rules in Dallas County, well then, soon as we know what the rules are, damn it, we got to be driving that sucker home every single day. Every single day. And here's the other deal, black people, we ain't got to wait for a campaign to send text messages. We can actually send our own. This is all I'm saying. I need us to be thinking that way between now because our interests are at stake. Now, politics is a delivery mechanism for goods and services. And if we know that the Republican Party don't give a damn about us, the only avenue we have is Democratic Party, well then we say we gonna drive votes here, but we also gonna hold your ass accountable when it comes to that. And so that's what I need our folks to be understanding. All right, y'all. Let me thank Winkuni, Zachary, and Rebecca for being on today's show. Let me go to Brittany Noble for Black Star Network headlines.
In Cleveland, police say the bodies of two young black girls were found stuffed inside suitcases and buried in shallow graves on the east side of the city. The discovery was made by a dog walker who stumbled across the first body in the area of East 162nd Street and Midland Avenue. The person notified police around 6 p.m. Monday. As investigators were searching the area, homicide detectives found a second shallow grave with a suitcase that contained another body. Cleveland Police Chief Dorothy Todd says the girls were in the area that does not receive a lot of foot traffic. And authorities believe one of the girls is between the age of 8 and 13, while the other was 10 to 14 years old. So far, neither has been identified. The bodies are in the custody of the county medical examiner's office. The girls have not been linked to any active missing persons cases in the area. Todd says authorities have no leads or suspects and asks anyone with information to call Cleveland Police Department's homicide unit at 216-623-5464. A group of 10 Chicagoans said they are stranded in Dubai after thousands of flights were canceled due to the conflict, causing one of the most severe disruptions to global aviation in years. The group said they went there to celebrate a birthday, but on the last day, they scrambled to book extra nights at a hotel and hunkered down after they heard and saw missiles.
Yeah, no updates. Still, everything's the same, but we are getting some help from some people who are in decision-making positions. But there's nothing you can do when you can still hear, the things that are going off, the sirens and everything that goes on in a war zone.
And that was South Carolina women's basketball coach Dawn Staley giving an update to reporters after a game on Sunday. She's still working to get 3 former players out of Israel. Shortly after the joint United States-Israeli strikes on Iran on February 28th, Staley posted on X that Tiffany Mitchell, Mekhi Herberts, and Destiny Littleton are in a war zone in Israel. Writing, "We are working on a plan to get home. Let us pray for our loved ones to return home safely ASAP. Thank you in advance." Littleton is also keeping supporters in the loop, posting videos to her Instagram account. And Howard University's College of Medicine has been placed on probationary accreditation status by Liaison Committee on Medical Education. It's the first time in the school's 158-year history. The LCME's public directory now lists the medical school as full on probation, meaning the program remains fully accredited but must address specific compliance concerns identified during the review process. University officials say the designation does not affect students' degrees or the school's ability to train and graduate future physicians. Howard says it's already begun addressing the issues by expanding faculty hiring, updating portions of the curriculum, and making targeted facility improvements. The LCME directory also shows Howard University's College of Medicine's next full accreditation review is scheduled for the 2027 to 2028 cycle. The nonprofit organization Balm in Gilead will host the National Week of Prayer for the Healing of AIDS. This group works to create, uplift, and empower faith communities. It is calling congregations across the country to observe the initiative of confronting HIV/AIDS, which disproportionately impacts African Americans due to the erasure of funds by the federal government. In 2023, Black Americans accounted for 39% of people living with HIV and 38% of new HIV diagnoses in the United States. Black men and Black women had the highest rate of new HIV diagnosis among all races or ethnicities. Young Black people between the ages of 13 and 24 accounted for almost half of all new HIV diagnoses in that group. The prayer week started March 1st and will continue until March 8th.
All right, folks, that is it for us. Let me shout out Ashley Allison. So remember I made the Route 100. They sent the award. It's a heavy-ass award. So this is the Route 100 2005 honoree. And so I certainly appreciate it. Like, this is literally heavy. All right, then. So let me shout out to the Route and Ashley for this award. All right, y'all, that is it for us. Tomorrow, I will be live from Chicago outside of Rainbow Push, where we will be, of course, covering the funeral services for Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. Lying in state tomorrow at Rainbow Push. Then we will, of course, be broadcasting live beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern on Friday from the House of Hope. And so that'll be on Friday. And then on Saturday, there's a private funeral service, and we will carry that live as well. And so look for our extensive coverage right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. All right, folks, support the work that we do. Listen, traveling there, our whole crew, that stuff costs money. It is not free. And so we want you to join our Bring the Funk fan club. The goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. If you want to support us and get your name to the list, we've had 37,179 donors. Let's get to 40,000, y'all. Please support us via Cash App. Use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. That's also for credit cards. Checks and money order. Make it payable to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Download the Black Star Network app. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered swag by going to shopblackstarnetwork.com. T-shirts, hoodies, wall art, mugs, all that stuff, shopblackstarnetwork.com. You also, of course, can get these Black-owned products you see right here. Everything that you see right here is available on shopblackstarnetwork.com. These are all Black-owned companies. Again, we got sauces and we got skincare stuff. We got, of course, curl prep. The bigger the butter. We've got watches. We've got shaving stuff. We've got candles, car wash, dolls, car wash stuff as well. We got chips and we got cookies and HBCU gear and all sorts of stuff. We got Black-owned toilet paper and tissue paper. So go to shopblackstarnetwork.com to support these Black-owned companies. And when you support these Black-owned companies, you're also supporting this Black-owned company as well. Also support the Black-owned company fan base. Download the app. You can check it out right there as well. Don't forget, watch the breakdown with Brittany Noble every day, noon Eastern, right here, Roland Martin on Black Star Network. And of course, other shows we got as well. Folks, that's it. Yes, and today I decided to rock, represent Edward Waters University. This ain't their colors, but when they gave me a shirt, they knew to give me one in black and gold because they know those other little youth groups, they can't touch 06. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow.